Yeah. Hello? Hello, what? Yeah, yeah,
Say
that's
hello.
good. Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. What's up? What's up, folks?
Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. We sitting here trying to get our fan together because I'm fresh off the grill and kind of sweating a little bit and
Well, you're not fresh off the
yeah, not
grill
fresh
because
off the
then you
grill.
would
Yeah,
smell like charcoal.
true. I took a shower and got all that, but I just can't stop sweating. So we're getting the fan together. So if you see me doing this, I was doing this last night too, and I wasn't on the grill. So there you have it. I don't know.
That's what happens when you sit next to me.
That's what, there it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We have discovered what the secret is. That is what the secret is. So, listen, we are here for another Inside the Relationship. Man, this is episode 12.
Awesome.
Episode 12 of Inside the Relationship, a relationship show about all things relationships.
All things relationship.
Listen, it's Memorial Day. And because I'm,
Is it?
no, 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 tomorrow's Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Hmm.
Memorial Day weekend. And so, as such, we we didn't want to not do a show. We wanted to actually do a show. So it may be an abbreviated version of the show. We may just breeze through this thing real quick. So if you happen to miss us live and you're watching the replay, that's fine. Let us know that you are watching the replay. But here's the thing. We got a couple things we want to talk about today. We'll talk about the when is it appropriate? When is it not appropriate to propose? Very interesting media mixdown.
Yeah, that was interesting that you showed me.
Very interesting media mixdown. We're going to talk about, is it okay to be selfish, or when is it okay to be selfish in marriage? So got that and some other things. Media mixdown. Question of the week. Marriage minute and last word coming up all on. What is it coming up on? Hold on, don't say it. Don't say it just yet.
Okay.
I don't have things queued up. But all of those things are coming up today on this episode of Inside the Relationship. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
You're watching Inside the Relationship with Denise and Ollie.
So sit back, relax, and let's talk about all things relationships. Yep. Here we are.
Hello, happy Sunday.
We're here for another one. Listen, first things first. We salute. We remember.
Yes.
All of those who gave their lives for our freedom.
And thank you to the families.
And to the families, and to those that are currently serving, and to those who have served and are still alive. We salute you. We acknowledge you. Listen, a lot of this weekend is about hanging out with folks and barbecuing and eating good food and drinks and all of that kind of stuff. But really, beyond, outside and far beyond all of that, the very important part of this is the acknowledgement of the fact that there are individuals who put their lives on the line on a daily basis, who have given their lives as a sacrifice, so that we can enjoy the opportunity to be on the grill, and to hang out with other folks. And so, just wanted to salute you, shout out, give you a round of applause for all that you are doing and have done,
and all that your loved ones did. If you are a family member of someone that was in the service who is no longer with us.
Yep. Good stuff. So listen, I'm going to jump right in, because we said this was going to be kind of abbreviated. We're going to jump right into the media mixdown. We're not going to do a little monologue and talk and that kind of thing. We're going to jump right into it. Let's do it right now. All right. What's wrong?
Nothing.
No.
Just looking at you.
Oh, thank you. You want to take a station identification break?
No.
Turn the camera off?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So here it is. Media mixdown. Media mixdown. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to tell you what I saw first, and then I'll tell you what I actually read, because it was two different things. So I was on social media and I saw a post on social media, and the post said, it was a picture, and it said, pastor proposes to widow at the funeral.
Pastor proposes to
Pastor proposes to widow at the funeral of her dead husband.
It was a pastor?
So that's the first thing. That was the first thing I saw. Paul Washington, thank you. God bless you as well. Appreciate you for coming through and checking us out. So that was the first thing. I saw that on social media. It said that pastor proposes to the widow at the husband's, deceased husband's funeral.
Wow.
And it's a picture of the man kneeling down in front of the person
Casket?
in all black. He's in the front, where the family sits.
Yeah.
He's kneeling down in front of this woman. The casket is behind him. He's kneeling down in front of this woman, offering her a ring at the funeral. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let me look into this, because this is madness. I just can't believe it.
Right.
So I'm like, let me go ahead and look into and I start reading different articles, and there were different articles that said it was the widow of the person who was deceased. Then I ran across a series of articles, and I said, I felt like this was more the truth, that the woman wasn't the dead person's widow.
Mm-hmm.
The woman was the dead man's daughter.
Okay.
So he was proposing to the dead man's daughter
at the
funeral.
Wow. Either way, it's wow.
So Paul said God does things decently and in order. That's not God.
I agree.
Not godly, but I cannot judge either.
Yeah.
But the actions was a no-no. And so here's the thing, Paul.
Just the appropriateness of it.
And a whole lot of comments.
Mm-hmm.
One article in particular where they allowed for comments had a whole array of comments, and everybody on both sides of the fence. Now, somebody provided some context, and what they said is that the reason why he chose to propose at the funeral is because, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm giving you all the stuff that I read, that he wanted to propose to the daughter while the father was still alive and in front of the father.
But I guess he didn't have a chance to.
Right. And so to honor his promise to propose in front of the father, he chose to do this at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an appropriate time to propose?
I feel like we're always talking about something that happened that culturally wouldn't happen here. But
so I'm glad you said that, because what I did not say is that I believe this happened in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there is some cultural implications. I don't know. Maybe.
If there's no cultural implications, to me, it's not appropriate.
Okay.
But of course, if there are cultural implications and that's not abnormal, then hey, it is what it is.
And listen, I'm not well versed on all kinds of culture and what different cultures do at funerals, but I don't feel like that's culturally appropriate anywhere. Like that does.
You never know. You never know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Paul says I'd say. I think he's saying no. I'd say no. Me too. I'd say no as well. But man, so it really smacked me in the face when initially the first article said that it was the man's wife.
Yeah.
If that was the case, then I was going to be like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't wait till the dude is in the ground,
right.
And like, y'all can't do this privately somewhere else. Like, but the daughter, I understand the logic behind, hey, I want to honor the fact that I am doing this in front of the father. It still doesn't feel.
I understand it.
I don't know.
Hey.
Listen, we're not going to harp on it because
it's
an abbreviated show, but we're not going to harp on it. But if you're watching the replay, tell us what you think about that. Is there any time that is inappropriate for you to propose? And for those of you who will be catching the replay or maybe catching it later, here's what we're talking about. A man proposed to, there was a funeral, and the pastor, I believe it was, proposed to the the deceased man's daughter right there in front of the casket with her sitting in all black and with her veil on in the front row.
I would like to see a video of that because I would be curious as to other people's reactions.
You know
To
what?
that.
There might be video, and I don't have it right in front of me, so I can't cue it up. But I do believe there is video. It's on YouTube.
I would like to see that.
It's on
I'm
YouTube.
gonna look for it later.
So if you go to YouTube and you search "propose at funeral," it's probably gonna pop up.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's probably gonna pop up. Because here's the thing: in the article, it was like people they gasped in. I forgot the word they used. It wasn't horror, but it was in amazement or surprise or something like that.
Mm.
So yeah, that's
Interesting.
So Paul, that I'm not sure of. I do not know if she said yes or not.
Right. I'd like to see that.
And I need to
video.
check that out. I do not know if she said yes. A lot of the articles were really kind of focusing on just the shock value of this thing happening.
Mhm.
The YouTube video, I do not know if it goes as far as to show what she did and what she said.
Okay.
So that's we may have to do a follow up to that next week and say, did she actually say yes? You know, because if she said yes, then I guess it was appropriate to them. It wasn't appropriate. It's not appropriate to me. I don't know that that's something I would do, propose at a funeral. I don't even know that I'm thinking that way at a funeral. So,
Right.
So that's the media mix down. And again, we would kind of explore this a little bit further, but it's kind of an abbreviated show. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm hungry. The barbecue it looks really good. I feel like I did a great job today on the grill.
You did as usual.
So I want to, get the spoils of war. You know what I mean? So that's the media mix down. If you're watching via replay, let us know what you think about that. Thank you, Paul, for kicking in on the comments with that as well, with the media mix down. So with that, let's get into the question of the week. So, question of the week. Here's a question of the week. Question of the week is, you talk a lot about doing things as a team in marriage, right?
Is it ever okay to want to just do my own thing? Sometimes I just want to be quote unquote selfish. Is that ever okay? It's not ever okay to be selfish. However, I think that because we are two different people, that we need to give space or make room for each other to pursue our passions or desires.
Okay.
For example, we do the whole marriage relationship coaching thing, right? But you also support me in my Dear Single Mommy ministry, which really doesn't have anything to do with marriage, obviously. So in that regard, I don't feel like it's me being selfish, but it's a passion of mine that I would like to pursue and feel like I still should be able to pursue, even though I'm no longer a single, even though we're married.
Okay.
So in that regard, I don't think that it's selfish, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. If it's a case where it will affect your marriage, where you haven't come to the same agreement on a certain thing and you're just like, well, I'm just going to do it this way, and that's just how it is, then I don't think that that's fair. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. Let me get Paul's comment. I think this was for the last segment. Okay. Lastly, but then again, like y'all said, depends on how they honor the family in that culture. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Because it really could be, because that's the argument that a lot of people were making in the comments, is that this is
not really
right.
That
he was actually honoring the father by doing this in front of him, even though he was not there to witness. So it definitely, culture could definitely play a role in that. So so about this question, right? You know me, I always kind of go to the other spectrum, right? Other end of the spectrum. I feel like, and obviously we don't have any context, but I feel like what this person is asking is, can they take a break from meeting their spouse's needs?
You got all of that out of that?
I'm just, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay, to want to just do my own thing. Well, if that's the case, then obviously no, that's not okay.
And let me tell you why I went there. Because of the first statement. You talk a lot about doing things as a team in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We do talk a lot about teamwork in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about teamwork in marriage, we're talking about teaming up as it relates to resolving conflict. And it's not me against you, it's us against the issue. So you're a team. We talk about teamwork in the sense of um, tackling various projects and understanding how a team plays. And sometimes, if you, I'll go in the basketball sense. Sometimes there's a certain basketball player on a team that's going to put the team on his back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's times where one person may be holding the team up, and because they're the strongest, we're always coming from an angle that I don't think has ever implied that you're not an individual.
Right. Right.
So because I don't feel like we've ever implied that you're not an individual,
Mm-hmm.
because in every sports team, a sports team is made up of individuals,
Correct.
but they come together in a way that allows them to consistently win. And because I don't feel like we've ever, done that or implied anything different,
Mm-hmm.
for you to say that first statement, we talk a lot about things as a team. Is it ever okay to just want to do my own thing? You trying to get out of doing something.
I see your point. Yeah. Well, no, if you're going by the actual, biblical definition of marriage
Mhm.
becoming one, then no. If they're thinking like what you said, then no, it's not okay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think though?
I'm gonna tell you in a second. Let's see. Paul said, dealing with children, I noticed that single moms believe the children come first. How do you view this? Give me a second. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. Sorry, single moms that many believe the children are always 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. We'll touch that in a second. So I think, based on my perception of this without any context, is it ever okay for you to just want to do your own thing? Yes, it is. But if you're implying that you want to take a break from approaching your marriage as a team, then no, it is not okay.
Right. Right.
It's not okay. I just want to be selfish. What do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be selfish in what way? You want to be selfish because, listen, there's some level of selfishness. We give that word a negative connotation, but there's some level of selfishness that is okay. You should want, and I should support you wanting to have a spa day and you wanting to get away and do something by yourself or
That's
with your girlfriends
I
or
sorry.
what? Say it.
I agree, but I don't think that the word is selfish in that regard. I don't think that
Yeah.
selfish doesn't ever have a negative connotation.
Okay.
Self-care is what all of those things fall under to me, but selfish, I don't think.
Okay. I can buy that. So, but essentially, what I'm saying is that there is room for you to want to do your own thing
Yes.
as it relates to that, to
Mhm.
self-care,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Where there's not room for you to want to do your own thing is for me to say, you know what, I'm tired of operating as a team. I just want to be on my own. I just want to do my own thing. Then that's not okay,
Right.
because that goes against what the covenant you made.
Yes, exactly.
The covenant you made was that the two will become one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're essentially telling me, what I'm hearing out of this question, you're telling me that you want to take a break from that
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit. I don't think that's okay.
It's not okay. And you know what? People, I think, sometimes get to the point where they're like, oh, this is just so overwhelming. But it's not necessarily always, a lot of times it is, but it's not necessarily always because they want to be selfish and want to do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be just that they have a lot going on and they are burned out, not necessarily burned out from the relationship, but they just need to practice self-care,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
go on a vacation or take a weekend, girl or guys, trip or something like that. And it's not necessarily because they don't want to work on their relationship and they don't want to work as a team on the relationship. But sometimes because of everything else that's going on, you just need to take a break and take some time, not from the relationship, but just to fill yourself back up.
Yeah.
And so it appears to yourself and maybe even to others that you don't want to work on the relationship. You don't want to work on becoming one. And that's not always the case. You just need to fill your cup back up so that you can practice working as a team still.
Okay. Thank you for offering that perspective. That's good because that addresses both sides of how somebody would potentially
Sometimes
read
you
into
just,
this question.
Even the person that submitted the question may not even realize that that's what's going on.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
Sometimes you're just like,
burnout.
I have just had it.
Burnout. Yep.
And, everything gets included into the pot of what you've just had enough of. So take some time to evaluate what's going on around you. And just, do you need to take a break and take a weekend getaway? It might not even be a weekend. Do you need a day off from mommying or daddying? Do you need to go hang out with the girls? Do you need to just go by yourself and go to the movies or go have some dinner, go on a date yourself or something like that? It may not even be a whole weekend. It may be a few hours. It may be a day. But take some time for yourself and evaluate what's going on around you. Take some time to talk to God and be like, God, I'm overwhelmed. I don't feel like I can do this anymore. What's going on with me? What am I missing? Take some inventory of what's going on. Because it may not even be that you don't want to work on being a team anymore. It may just be that you need to just fill your cup back up.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good advice. I'm gonna leave it alone. There's nothing else I have to say after that. That's phenomenal. That's good. So those of you who might be catching this on the replay, let us know what you think. You heard how I read into the question. You heard how my wife read into the question, and you got both perspectives from there. So that's good. I think we'll leave it there. If you want to submit a question for us to tackle on Inside the Relationship, you can submit your question via email by emailing us at admin@denali.org. Send us an email there. Send us your question, and we'll get it into one of these episodes and talk about it. Yeah. So listen, we're going to get into the marriage minute. The marriage minute is going to be really short. I am still going to do our sponsorship spot.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and after this word from our sponsor, we will be back with the marriage minute. So that is a word from our sponsor. If you would like to support us in that way, you can go to pressandsoul.com/Denali and you can get. So this shirt I have on right now is one of our favorites. We call it the Marriage Math shirt.
Yeah.
1 + 1 = 1. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to pressandsoul.com/Denali. So let's dig into this question real quick, and then I'll go into the marriage minute. Question from Paul about single parents. Said I'm just posing the question as a stepdad. I believe you have to view the children as y'all's kids,
Of course, yes.
and come at it from that standpoint, not her kids or my kids, but raising them at common goal.
Yeah.
Agreed, 100%. Agreed, 100%.
Mhm.
That resonates with us very much because we are a blended family, so we can speak to that.
Yeah.
We can speak to that. I it was many years for those who knew us as married. It was many years before people realized that our daughters are not my biological daughters. That is because I never used the word stepdaughter. Now, I'm not saying that that's wrong. Hear me. I'm not saying that that's wrong. You choose whatever terminology you want.
Right.
I personally chose to be like, these are my girls.
Mhm.
And everywhere I went, I was like, these are my girls. And nobody ever really questioned until I don't even remember. It was years before somebody was like, wait a minute. They
Yeah.
happened to see the last name and it was different.
Mm.
Like, wait a minute. That's not what?
Mhm.
And because of what you said, Paul, because I do believe that once you have covenanted with each other, that part of that covenant is that you have now created a unit.
Mhm.
That unit operates in the same level of oneness that
Yes.
your marriage unit should operate in.
Yep.
So at this point, it is not her kids, my kids. It is our family.
Yeah.
And if you are doing things like we've talked about in other episodes, if you are creating a marriage mission statement and you're creating guiding principles for your family,
Mhm.
that will help to create this unified unit, because now that mission statement aligns you all in a way that you're all moving in the same direction.
Right.
So your mission statement can't be segmented. Nobody has a segmented mission statement.
Yeah.
The
Because
mission
then you
statement,
have different missions.
right? The mission statement covers the entire organization. If you
Yeah.
work for a company, the guiding principles are not segmented.
Mhm.
You do what you feel like doing over there. I feel like I do. It's for everyone.
Mhm.
So I agree with that. It has to be a unified approach. It may take some time. I'm not saying that from
Absolutely.
jump it's just going to be like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It may take some time, but that should be the goal that you're striving towards,
Yeah. Very good.
right?
Mhm.
As far as a single, and I think that's what he was saying when it comes to the single parent thing.
Yeah.
Now, single parents who are not married, obviously their kids are their everything. I mean, it's just how it falls organically.
Right.
But if you're talking about a blended family situation, like how we are, then that the goal of being unified has to be paramount
Mhm.
in the way that you approach your family unit.
And to answer your other I don't know if it was a question or just a statement. Once you're married, your marriage should come first. That's really, really hard for once or used to be or previous single parents, not just moms, single, but typically it's moms, but not always. It's really hard to hear that. It was hard for me to hear that in the very beginning of our relationship, but you have to iron that out and work through those challenges of not putting your marriage first, because it is a challenge. It's different. It's been you and your children for however many years, maybe not a lot of years. For me, it was a lot of years. It was 11 years. And so it was an adjustment that I had to make, and it was an adjustment that the girls had to make. It was an adjustment that Ollie had to make. And so all of those things have to be ironed out, but you have to come to an agreement between you and your spouse that your marriage will come first. And then the two of you together have to make sure that you let your children know that your marriage comes first. And sometimes you have to sit down and tell them that. And sometimes it's just by actions of what you do that signals to them that your marriage comes first. And it's not a bad thing, because when you put your marriage first, then everything else falls into place and the children will see that. And it's not a bad thing. And it just really is a benefit for the whole family when you do that. So, yes, I believe that you should always make sure that your marriage comes first.
I agree with that. And here's the thing that may help with, you were to say something else?
I was just going to say, depending on the age of the children, too, it's very difficult to, a lot of times, to do that. Like, if I had a baby and then we were married, it would be very difficult for me to, let you know that, this baby needs a lot more attention than older children would. And so that's just something that we would have to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's not that necessarily I'm trying to not put our marriage first, but babies have demands that they can't help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that regard, you have to, still make sure you're communicating about everything. But as far as you can, let's put it that way, your marriage should come first. When you have smaller children, of course it's a challenge. And of course they have needs that they can't take care of for themselves. So all of that has to be taken into consideration.
That's good. That's good. I feel like I feel like if you take the team approach, and if you are putting your marriage first, it will help you navigate all of these things. Because here's the thing.
Yeah, for
here's
sure.
what putting your marriage first does not mean. Putting your marriage first does not mean neglecting everybody else.
Right. Yep.
So when we're saying put your marriage first, we're not saying, hey, you know what? Forget them kids. That's not what we're saying.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, I've heard people say that. I've heard people describe it like that. Listen, the kids are going to grow up and leave you one day. So make sure you're working on you. And, we can argue that to a certain degree. But what it is not is I'm putting her in a position where I'm not paying attention to anything else.
And I do agree with the statement that children will grow up and leave you one day. However, not to the detriment of neglecting them should you put your relationship first. It's not children are going to grow up one day and leave anyway, so forget them. It's children are going to grow up and leave, so we have to make sure that we know each other.
So that intentional, right?
Yeah, so that when they leave, we're not looking at each other like, who are you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, but yeah, man.
And here's the thing, right? To go with the small kid and the baby thing, right? If I'm putting our marriage first and you have a small child and I'm putting our marriage first, the fact that I am intentional about creating that bond with you and putting you first should organically cause me to want to do what's necessary to assist you in that. Because now it's a team approaching, again, going back to what Paul was saying, not your kid and my kid, or your kid and I don't have any kids. We've become a team. We're putting our marriage first. And as such, now the team has to find a way to approach raising this child.
Agreed.
Because we've covenanted to become a family unit.
Yeah.
So I think it even helps to put your marriage first, because now you're thinking along the lines of duality as opposed to segmenting everything that you do.
Yeah.
Because now you're just roommates.
And when it comes to blending a family and thinking about what it says in the Bible about the two becoming one, like if you have children when you're getting married, if you already have children when you're getting married, those children are you. Those children are a part of you. And so it's all of that becoming one with your spouse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not just you if you have children.
Yep. That's what they say, right? When you marry somebody, you marry the family. Well, that really, I know that statement applies. They're talking about in-laws and that kind of thing. But definitely with blended, when you marry somebody who already has children, you are marrying a unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are taking on a unit of individuals, right? To become one with. And so you need to treat that the same way you would treat it if you didn't have kids.
Yep.
Oh, Paul said, awesome. You guys are a lovely couple. Keep up the good work. God bless. Thank you, Paul.
God bless
appreciate
you
you,
as
fam.
well.
Thank you for posing that question. Which, you know what, Paul, let's call it what it is. Let's make that the marriage minute. I'm just gonna play the thing. I'm gonna play that
was good.
I'm gonna play the piece just so you know that there is a marriage minute. But we're gonna thank Paul for that. And we're gonna use that as we're going to use that as the marriage minute because one, it's going to be an abbreviated show today, and that was a great question. That was a great question. So to sum that up, let me cap it by saying this. Listen, if you have not done a marriage mission statement, you should probably look into doing that, right? What are the goals and visions you have for your relationship?
Yeah.
How does everybody play a part in achieving those goals? What is the vision for how you see your family going? In all different aspects, spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, and begin to now craft strategy around those guiding principles that you create for your family. That's how I wrap that section up. All right.
Yep.
So listen, let's get into the last word. We got a last word for you, and then I'm gonna get out of here and eat some barbecue.
Yay.
Last word.
Real about this too, if I can.
Okay.
So the last word, you guys, is just talking about the fruits of the Spirit. We all know them: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. And I just want us to remember that it's super important to make sure that we are lavishing those fruits of the Spirit onto our spouses. It's really important that we do that. However, having said that, the only fruit that's going to come out of you is whatever the seeds are that you planted in you.
Okay.
So, if you're not a patient person, then that means that that fruit has not been cultivated in you. And so what we need to do is ask God, I want to cultivate the right fruits. Because if you're an impatient person, that is still fruit. Impatience is a fruit, but is not a fruit of the Spirit.
That's good.
And that is not the type of fruit that we should be giving to our spouse. So it's really important to make sure that we are asking the Holy Spirit to cultivate those fruits of the Spirit in us so that we can then give them, lavish them onto our spouse. And what does that look like? Be more loving towards your spouse, right? And be more joyful instead of having this mean, miserable attitude all of the time. And be more patient. Like when your spouse, we're all human and you mess up just as much as your spouse does. So when your spouse makes a mistake, be more patient with him or her doing that, right? And be more peaceful. Don't be so ready to get into an argument, when something happens. Practice having a more peaceful spirit. All of those things need to be cultivated. All of those fruits need to be cultivated in us. And I feel like sometimes too, I've been thinking about this all week. We ask God to help us or to cultivate those things in us so that we can be a more loving person, a more joyful person. And we just think overall, but we're not intentional about making sure that we are that way for our spouse. Like it's just overall, just let me be that type of person, loving, joyful, peaceful overall. But I think that the intentionality needs to be there for us to be that way with our spouses, because they're the closest person to us and they see more of us than anyone else typically. And they deserve more of that, I think, than anyone else a lot of the time.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's it.
That's good. That's a great last word. Listen, you want to exhibit the fruits of the Spirit. That means you probably need to have the Spirit. So, you talked about impatience being a fruit. That is a fruit.
Yeah, it
right?
is, but it's not good fruit.
It's not good fruit. It's rotten fruit, right? It's already, smelly and, you don't want that, right? So if you want to exhibit something else, you have to make sure that you align with what allows you to exhibit that.
Yeah.
Which is, asking for God's Spirit to be a part of what you're doing so that you can be who you need to be for your spouse. I love it. Phenomenal last word. So listen, here, we're going to get out of here. But before we get out of here, let me just share with you, for those of you who are on Facebook, we love our Facebook family, but we would love for you to come over to YouTube and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to our channel, YouTube channel, please do so. YouTube.com/Denali LLC. Listen, there's a couple of things. Last night, Saturday
was a
night, ladies and
It was
gentlemen,
very good work last night.
Saturday night, we have a show that comes on most Saturday. I won't say it's all Saturday nights, but most Saturday nights, we have a
Mhm.
show that comes on called Have a Conversation After Dark. This is where we tackle the taboo or the tense topics. And it's not so much about giving you advice as much as it is about getting you to start talking. Last night we were talking about divorce,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I didn't even tell you this, but we're going to do a part 2.
Yes, I saw the comment.
We're going to do a part 2, and the part 2 is going to have some guests. So we got some guests that's going to come in. So stay tuned. Follow us so you can see more information about that. The other thing we got going on YouTube is typically every Wednesday there is a Coaching Chronicles. This is literally an excerpt of a real coaching session.
Yeah.
Now, you don't get to see who our client is, and you don't get to hear them or hear their names.
Right.
You just get to hear what we're saying to them. And
Good
so
stuff. Very good.
we put that out every week as well. And the last thing I want to share, we shared it last night, but this friends and family group sessions, we just did a friends and family group session last Sunday. It was outstanding.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
It was outstanding.
Good stuff.
Listen, if you want to get more information about what we're even talking about, shoot us an email at admin@denali.org. It is a great opportunity
Just
for
a
you
great
to
concept.
get a group
Yeah.
together and tackle a few issues for 90 minutes, man. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for those of you who were a part of this today. Again, happy Memorial Day. We salute those of you in service, those we remember those who have given their lives for the opportunity for us to have a good time today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so, and to be in a place where we can do that, we do not take that for granted. It is not just about hanging out and eating good food. It is about saluting those who are paying the price and who are working on our behalf. So thank you for that. Listen, we're going to get out of here. We're going to give you 2 things. We give you the 2 things every week, and these 2 things are the same. It is be intentional today about creating an experience that will help you to grow your level of intimacy. What's the second one?
Until your 1 + 1 is 1, you're never done.
All right, family. Blessings on you. Enjoy your holiday weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye.